So today, we're diving into the ancient Egyptian afterlife. And I want you to just set aside everything you think you know from the movies. The golden masks, the quiet tombs. Because what we're about to uncover is something else entirely. A vision of the afterlife that isn't a final destination, but a dangerous nightly job.
So, let me ask you, when you think afterlife, what pops into your head? For most of us, it's one of two things, right? Either it's this place of eternal reward, for a life well lived, or it's a realm of punishment for all your mistakes. It's this black and white choice we're all so familiar with.
But for the ancient Egyptians, it was neither of those things. It wasn't some static place you just arrived at. The afterlife was a high-stakes, 12-hour-long job you had to clock in for every single night. And your very soul, your entire existence, depended on you getting it right.
Okay, so let's get into it. For the Egyptians, the moment you died wasn't the end. Not even close. It was the beginning, the start of this incredibly perilous journey through a terrifying and chaotic realm they called the Duat.
And the Duat, wow, this was not some peaceful, heavenly field. It was a living, breathing, operational landscape. You got to think of it less as a place and more as a process. It was filled with the most incredible and terrifying things. Rivers of pure chaos, lakes of fire, giant walls of iron, even trees made of turquoise. And the whole thing was chopped up into 12 regions, one for each hour of the night. Each one populated by its own unique cast of gods, demons, and monsters. This was a realm you had to navigate, not just exist.
So, how in the world do you survive a journey like that? Well, it wasn't just about being a good person. Being morally pure was definitely a plus, but the real key to survival was something way more practical. You needed the right information. You needed the map.
And this all comes down to a core concept called Heka. Heka was this magical authority that was literally baked into speech itself. The Egyptians believed that words had the power to shape reality. So, if you knew the true secret name of a god or a demon or even a gate, you had power over it. It was like having the admin password to the universe.
And that's why the dead were buried with what you could basically call a metaphysical GPS. These funerary texts, you've probably heard of them, the Book of the Dead, the Duat, they weren't holy books for worship. No, they were technical manuals. They were the ultimate guidebooks for the dead. They contained all the spells, the maps, and most importantly, the passwords, those secret names you needed to get past every single obstacle.
And I mean this in the most literal way possible. The whole journey was structured around a series of 12 massive gates, and to get through them, there was no shortcut, no other way. The only way to pass was to speak the names of the guardians.
And we're not talking about a simple password here. Oh no. Each gate had this sophisticated three-part security system. A triad of beings. You had a gatekeeper, who physically controlled the door, a watcher, who observed you as you approached, and a herald, who announced your arrival. And you had to know the secret name of all three. And of course, their names were specifically designed to be absolutely terrifying.
Just imagine you walk up to this giant, imposing gate, and you have to correctly identify a guardian whose official name is the Swallower of Sinners. Yeah, you can imagine that getting that one wrong would have some pretty immediate and permanent consequences.
And they just get more and more intense. How about facing a being whose name translates to Mistress of Anger, Dancing on Blood? This wasn't a test of your character, was it? This was a straight-up test of your knowledge and your nerve.
So the key thing to get here is that this was a procedure. It was a repeatable, almost mechanical process. You approach the gate. You confront the three guardians. You recite their secret names, which you got from your guidebook. You prove your purity. And only then do you get to proceed to the next hour and the next challenge.
So this whole model, this idea of a dangerous clockwork journey, where did it come from? Well, it came from the ultimate blueprint for cosmic survival, the nightly passage of the sun god himself, Ra.
See, every single night, Ra had to make this exact same terrifying journey through the Duat to be reborn at dawn. And his voyage wasn't just a model for human souls to follow, it was literally the engine that kept the entire cosmos running. If Ra failed, the sun wouldn't rise, and everything, all of creation, would just end.
His journey was a 12-hour epic. At dusk, he enters the Duat, old and weary, in his ram-headed form. Then, at the 6th hour, midnight, the absolute darkest point, he performs what's called the Midnight Mystery. He merges his soul with the corpse of Osiris, the god of the dead, to literally regenerate his life force. Then, in the very next hour, he has to face his greatest enemy, the chaos serpent, Apep. And if he's successful, by the 12th hour, he's reborn as Tepri, the scarab beetle, ready to roll the sun back into the sky at dawn.
And what I find so brilliant about this is that even the chief god didn't travel alone. He had a whole crew. On his solar bark, his boat. Ra was the voyager, the principle of renewal. He was shielded by another god, a coiled serpent named Mehen, and at the prow of the boat, wielding a spear against chaos, was Set. Yes, Set, the god of chaos himself, now harnessed in the service of order. Incredible, right?
And that really gets us to the fundamental conflict of this entire journey. It's not about good versus evil, not in the simple way we think about it. It's about resisting this constant, unending pressure, the pull of chaos. The Egyptians basically saw the universe as this constant tension between two forces. On one side, you have Ma'at, that's order, truth, balance. But, and this is key, it's not static order, it's dynamic order, an order that's maintained by constant movement and cycles. And on the other side, you have Isfet. Isfet is chaos, uncreation. It's the pull toward absolute stillness and stagnation.
And the ultimate symbol of Isfet is Apep, that giant serpent Ra fights every single night. But check out Apep's strategy. He doesn't just try to destroy the boat, he tries to stop it by swallowing the waters of the underworld river, creating these cosmic sandbanks. The goal of chaos isn't just destruction, it's stagnation. It just wants to make things stop moving.
So after thousands of years of this nightly battle, you have to wonder how many times was Apep finally defeated for good? The answer? 0. Not once. He is overthrown, he's speared, he's bound every single night, but he is never ever permanently destroyed. He always comes back. Because in the Egyptian worldview, chaos is a permanent feature of the cosmos. You can't eliminate it. You can only manage it, night after night after night.
And this brings us to the really profound philosophical takeaway at the very heart of the Egyptian afterlife. It's a completely different way of thinking about what stability even means.
The Egyptians had two different words for eternity. First, there's Jet. Think of Jet as the eternal, static foundation of everything, the silent, unchanging darkness of Osiris and the Duat. It's the state of simply being. But then, there was also Nehe. This was Ra's time. This was eternal, cyclical renewal, the endless process of becoming.
So you see, without that constant, repeating journey of Ra, without Nehe, the static eternity of Jet would just become inert. It would collapse back into Isfet, into stagnant chaos. And this gets to the absolute core of it all. For the ancient Egyptians, stability wasn't a destination. It wasn't a state of rest you could achieve. It was a process. Order survives only if it keeps moving.
This ancient vision of the cosmos as a machine that has to be actively maintained every single night, it really leaves us with a powerful question, doesn't it? If stability isn't a destination, but a constant journey of navigation and renewal, what are the sandbanks in our own lives? What are the things that threaten to bring us to a halt?